Chapter 4. The Senate. I do not see the urgency that a tainted Senate would address in the immediate term. Article 14 of the Constitution of our country, as adopted in 1996, provides that Cameroon shall have a bicameral legislature or parliament made up of the National Assembly and the Senate. Article 20 stipulates that second body or upper chamber will have 100 senators, 10 from each region of the country, 7 from whom would be elected and 3 appointed by the head of state. The same constitution and subsequent laws stipulate that the 7 senators shall be elected by indirect balloting through regional electoral colleges, constituted of local councillors and regional councillors. These instruments also lay out that regional councillors derive from divisional councillors who are designated to represent administrative divisions or prefecture in their respective regional councils. The broad spectrum outcry that followed the convening of the April 14, 2013 senatorial elections arose from questions about the legality of the Electoral College and the fact that the legitimacy of senators elected under such circumstances may be tarnished beyond repair. Regional councils had not yet been created while local councillors were serving on bonus time as their fixed 5-year term mandates expired in 2012. Moreover, the electoral of 2013 was definitely different from that which participated in the local elections of 2007, and there were legitimate reasons to question the representative mandate of the councillors that cast ballots on April 14. The issue is that the demographics of the country and the electorate had shifted between 2007 and 2013, so much so that one couldn't tell in advance whether credible local elections in 2013 would have given the CPDM more or less local councillors. What about new political parties that emerged or gained strength and increased membership since 2007? The main question is, if the country was that close to holding new local elections, would it not have been prudent to hold those elections first, to have councillors, or irrefutable legitimacy, or more equitable representation, or would then be called upon to participate in the election of senators? It is a shame that our country, the population is ambushed at every election, including that for the Senate, which under normal circumstances should be a very easy exercise given the small size of those called upon to vote. First, ELECAM, the election administration body, was conducting voter registration outside the January to August period stipulated in the election law. And Cameroonians were told that this was in anticipation of the election of local councillors and members of the National Assembly already serving an extended mandate. The abrupt decree on senatorial elections forced political parties to scramble to meet deadlines for identification of candidates and submission of lists. This limited time did not allow any of the political parties, including the CPDM, enough time to organize political and transparent candidate election activities with grassroots input, which meant that this decree, like many others signed by President Biya, inflicted collateral damage on the dynamics of internal democracy within Cameroonian political parties. I do not see the urgency that a tainted Senate would address in the immediate term. Unfortunately, over the past 30 years, we have seen and heard the most unimaginable declarations from supporters of this regime. Cameroonians have become accustomed to such praise singers by day and critics by night. To extrapolate somewhat, the emperor could be standing naked in the street and his supporters would sing his praises for his new dress code, even as the rest of the world sees clearly that the emperor has no clothes. Lest we forget, in the early 1990s, as other African countries were opening up their political systems and Cameroonian Democrats were advocating for more freedoms and liberty, some of these same individuals marched in the streets of the capital saying no to democracy and political pluralism. The Cameroonian people will remember. The provision that allows the president to appoint 30 senators is the constitution. Although many Cameroonians disagree with the concept of the head of the executive branch handpicking members of the legislative branch that are supposed to exercise oversight over his performance, as in every democratic society. With already so much power centralized in the hands of one individual in the Cameroonian context, giving that individual even more powers entrenches patronage and cronyism and simply makes a mockery of the institutions and systems of checks and balances that every democratic society has, and that we as Cameroonians deserve. As a Cameroonian who loves his country and cares about the future, this whole exercise about a Senate is a very bad joke at many levels. The United States has 100 senators elected by universal suffrage for a population of 300 million inhabitants and a GDP, gross domestic product, 600 times that of Cameroon. So our leaders handpick their own 100 senators for 20 million people and may boast that they are mimicking the United States. Many Cameroonians even question why have a Senate when the current National Assembly is understaffed and under-resourced to carry out its legislative and representative functions fully, and when we have other institutions like the Economic Social Council in existence for decades with no visible impact on governance, and worse still, no accountability for the annual budgets allocated to such institutions. Given the frivolous manner in which democratic institution building is handled in our country, it would have been better for the president to name his 100 senators and save us all the unnecessary expenditure from state coffers and further embarrassment before other Africans and the rest of the world. Thank goodness there's precedents that in a country like Senegal, President Macky Sall, upon getting into office, saw the futility of a Senate created under similar circumstances and scrapped it immediately. Senegal's democracy hasn't lost a dent of its credibility.